StormCentre coverage here on the Weather Network because of a potential stormy day in many parts of central and southern areas of Ontario. Mark Robinson is going to be live out in the field covering these storms, and joining me now is Mark. So I know you're just getting ready, Mark. By the way, just want to mention one thing that I really enjoy when you're out and you're doing your social media hits for these storms is you always explain like the cloud structure. So it's not only informative, it's entertaining as well, because usually you're getting battered by a storm. So Mark, we're going to talk today timing, location, and threats. So let's talk first of all timing and location. Where do you got your eyes on?
Well, here's the thing, Chris. There's actually two areas that I'm looking at for southern Ontario today. We have an area to the northeast that has all the shear. So what that means is the winds are going in opposite directions or in slightly different directions as you go up through the atmosphere. That tends to spin those storms up, but we don't quite have the energy. But if we move down to the southwest and we're talking about sort of Grand Bend over to Barrie, that area has got all the energy. So there's tremendous amounts of energy there in the atmosphere, but it hasn't quite got the shear to spin those storms. And so that's what we're sort of watching. Now, the way this is going to set up is you're going to have literally a line of storms going through all like sort of southern Ontario, south central Ontario, and there's the northeast up here, here's the southwest down here. It's all going to sort of hit relatively the same time period. Maybe the northeast is going to go a little sooner, and that's going to be early afternoon through to the evening. So we do have to be on alert. Have lunch, then get ready for the storms as they come through.
All right, Mark, it's already been heavy rain up towards the north and east, the Sault Ste. Marie to western Quebec. So we've got abundant moisture, we've got the lift, we've got the instability. Let's talk about, and we have the wind shear. So we've got all four. So what are the threats when we combine this all together?
Well, here's the thing, Chris. We've got all threats on the table today. So we're talking about heavy rain, frequent lightning, high winds, hail, and of course we do have the threat of tornadoes. I don't want to overemphasize it, overhype it, but there definitely is the potential for some tornadoes, especially when we're talking about the shear up to that northeast area. That's where we're most likely to see it. And we're talking about Algonquin Park, that sort of area. So if you're going up on that area, be weather aware today. It's something you just have to make sure that you understand that you may get into some stormy situations. But if we go down to the southwest, those areas, they also have a non-zero chance of tornadoes with this line as it comes through. So either way, if you see the storms coming on towards you, get into shelter. Let me stay out there and get soaked and everything else, and let you know exactly what's going on and why you're in shelter and not doing what Mark does.
We'll be following your adventures as we always do. Thank you very much. Mark Robinson, our storm hunter here. Definitely a day you want to keep your Weather Network app handy with you in case there's any alerts. I mentioned the heavy rain. The heaviest rain is in northeastern Ontario with embedded thunderstorms. We've had thunderstorms move from New Brunswick into western and northern areas of Nova Scotia, and we've also got the risk of thunderstorms in Saskatchewan, potentially severe in the north. The big story in the west, though, the smoky skies and the heat alerts continue to expand.
Thanks for joining us this Thursday. StormCentre coverage continues here on the Weather Network. We are expecting an active afternoon and evening across the lower Great Lakes. What you're looking at here on your screen is water vapor imagery. It's a great indication of atmospheric moisture, and we have a whole lot of it, as well as a trigger being that cold front late day today, entering portions of the Huron shorelines, pushing into cottage country. And yes, in that red highlighted zone, we are expecting those thunderstorms later today to become quite severe in nature, and we can't rule out the chance of seeing tornadoes out of these, along with heavy downpours locally, hail, and very strong, if not damaging winds. Here's a look at that timing. A lot of these storms get going later into the afternoon and early evening hours. We are expecting a quite defined frontal boundary crossing the GTA later through the dinner hour. Again, very isolated nature, and we have a ton of lightning quite possibly associated with these storms as well. This is expected to diminish as we head into the overnight hours, and as we push further east into the Maritimes, we do have that non-severe weather threat across Nova Scotia, some pop-up showers ahead of the next frontal boundary that will be swinging on through late tomorrow afternoon, producing more so cloud cover and some spotty showers for the Maritimes, eventually reaching Newfoundland by Saturday afternoon. Our temperatures slightly above that seasonal mark. Meanwhile, we are talking about extreme heat and dry conditions across Western Canada. Very dry and smoky skies across British Columbia, and you can see that here, this model picking up on the spread of wildfire smoke right through the interior, through the valleys. This is not expected to improve anytime soon, unfortunately. And east of the Rockies, we have that non-severe weather threat pushing into the Calgary, Red Deer area, Edmonton as well later today, and it continues to slide eastward.
Thank you for joining us live as we track. A tornado warning is underway for this cell that is just south of Barrie. Now, if you are in any of this pink highlighted region, please get indoors. This means that a tornado is imminent in your region, and that includes areas in through Alliston, Sutton, and Beaverton. That means tornado has been reported. We have seen evidence of rotation on our radar, and we are seeing some damage reports coming out of Barrie. So please get indoors, get into the safest spot in your house. That would be under the basement if you have that option, or in an interior room. Those are going to be your best bets. These systems will continue. Here is the cell now that we are tracking in through Barrie. You can see the pink highlighted region. That is indicative of showing us the rotation is underway. If you are along the 400, an extremely dangerous situation as the system makes its way towards the east. And we're going to keep a close watch on these areas highlighted here in the red region. That is where we could be seeing more tornadoes popping up in southern Ontario as this cold front sweeps through the region. We will be watching as it pushes into the south of Quebec, dying off hopefully overnight, but sparking back up for the eastern townships as we head into your early Friday morning. That will also begin to taper into the Gaspé Peninsula and northern New Brunswick as you head into your Friday. So we will watch the continual risk of thunderstorms in through the start of our weekend, and otherwise Atlantic Canada will still be seeing some warm temperatures to say the least, but we do have that threat incoming to start off your weekend. In through the prairies, we're watching as this cold front drapes across the region. On our Friday morning, that will be getting down south and impacting areas along the south and across the prairies, with another threat to see some more active weather. So for today, that is primarily in through the north of the prairies, but here we go in the south. That is where we're going to watch for your Friday. We'll keep a watch on the alerts as well, especially for the heat warnings that are spreading throughout the western part of Canada, because temperatures are getting into the 30s. So just to recap, if you are in that severe warning, please get indoors.
Active weather continues.
Thank you for joining us as we're watching the tornado warnings that are in effect. We have seen evidence that a tornado went through Barrie, so please be aware we are tracking this cell that is going over the 400 and tracking in towards Georgina. So if you are in Innisfil, Nuke, Tecumseh, Agnes, or Newmarket, Georgina, Northern York region, you are under a tornado warning. That means we have evidence to support a tornado has touched the ground on radar. We have seen damage reports on Twitter. Tornado is imminent, so please get indoors. These are the two cells that we are tracking. They are moving quite quickly northeast and producing wind gusts over 100 kilometers per hour. These will continue to flare up as we get into this evening because of all of the instability and daytime heating that is in place. So if you're in any of these red highlighted regions, please get indoors and keep up to date with the watches and warnings in your area. Well, a very dangerous situation is underway in southern Ontario. We do have tornado warnings in effect for areas in and around Newmarket, and these cells are moving towards the Kawartha Lakes. So if you are in Lindsay, southern Kawartha Lakes, or York, Durham region, Georgina, Uxbridge, Beaverton, northern York region, northern Durham region, you are under a severe tornado warning that is underway. We have seen radar evidence of rotation in these two cells that are making their way towards the east at a very alarming rate, 70 kilometers per hour, and packing winds over 100 kilometers per hour, hail, and of course the tornado. We did see evidence of tornado sweep through Barrie. We are watching Twitter as we scour through damage that was reported in a residential area. So if you are in any of these red highlighted regions, especially along the Georgian Bay shores into cottage country, we are going to be continuing to monitor the tornado risks as we head throughout your evening hours. This front will push into Quebec and bring with it another round of severe thunderstorms to the Maritimes for your Friday afternoon and evening hours. We'll be keeping a close watch as this front makes its way over into the eastern seaboard tomorrow. For today, still dealing with some residual severe thunderstorm possibilities in the northern edges of Saskatchewan, but we are focusing our efforts down in through southern Ontario. These cells are packing damaging wind gusts and heavy downpours, and of course a tornado risk. They are moving quite quickly as well, so you want to make sure you have your app handy. Keep up to date with the watches and warnings in your area, because there are many cells in behind that are developing as we speak. So these will continue. Make sure to have a plan, know where you're going to be. This is not a time to be out in front of the windows trying to get pictures. Stay indoors, down in the basement or an interior room if you have a tornado warning. Thank you for joining us as we are in a very dangerous situation, especially on the ride home. Tornado warnings are underway for areas that are highlighted in the pink region. If you find yourself in this pink region, you need to get indoors. We do have evidence that a tornado is underway and has gone through, making severe damage through suburbs in Barrie. So if you are in Lindsay through the southern Kawartha Lakes, Balsam Lake Park, North Kawartha Lakes, and including Uxbridge, Beaverton, North Durham region, you need to get indoors. A tornado is underway in these two systems, especially through Beaverton. These systems are making their way right over top of you as we speak. So make sure you are in a very safe place, because they are moving quite quickly, anywhere from 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, packing with them one or two tornadoes and wind gusts over 100 kilometers per hour. So areas in through Beaverton and along the Highway 12, please be sure to get off the roadways and get indoors. We're going to continue to track all these areas highlighted in red for the time being. That is where we could be seeing some more tornadoes popping up as we head throughout this evening. That front will eventually push into Quebec and the Maritimes for your Friday afternoon and evening, bringing with it another risk for severe systems to be underway with some small hail. That will be how you start off your weekend. We'll continue to track the severe thunderstorms as they develop in through the northern prairies, primarily the northern parts of Saskatchewan. But for the time being, we are heavily focused on areas that are just through Beaverton, Sutton. These systems are continuing to move. We have picked up radar rotation on them and have seen damage reports. So a tornado threat is underway, and be prepared, cottage country and areas through Algonquin. These are making their way to you at a very alarming rate. So this is not the time to be out by the windows with your camera. Get indoors to an interior room or in the basement if you have it, because these are some dangerous conditions that are ahead in the coming hours. Thank you for joining us as we're tracking live. Tornado warnings are underway across southern Ontario, primarily over the Highway 12 border. Now, these systems were radar indicated to have a tornado associated with them, and we are seeing a slew of evidence damage coming out of Barrie that this system went through a suburb there. So if you are in any of these regions highlighted in pink, specifically Beaverton, Sutton, and in through Bobcaygeon, these systems are tracking quite quickly towards your location. Yet another supercell is underway under Fort Thompson. You can see highlighted right here. These systems are going to continue to develop as we head throughout this evening. So if you are in any of these red highlighted regions, make sure you have a plan in case of a tornado warning in your area. And if you do, that is not a time to get out on the roadways, get indoors, and stay away from your windows. Thank you for joining us as we track live the tornado risk that is occurring presently in southern Ontario. If you are in any of these pink highlighted regions, that means a tornado is underway and headed towards your location, specifically Lindsay, southern Kawartha Lakes, Balsam Lake, northern Kawartha Lakes. That is where the warnings lie. Now, here are the cells that we are tracking for you now. They did make their way through Barrie, and we are watching as areas east of the escarpment continue to spot up with supercells. You can see one going right through Barrie currently, and these systems have enough lift and convective energy to form even more tornadoes. If you find yourself on that eastern side of this line I've drawn here, you have the higher tornado risk as we head throughout this evening. We do have ideal wind conditions and abundance of lift. So in that red highlighted region, be aware throughout this afternoon and evening. It may be a messy ride home. Do not get out if you have a tornado warning in your area. You want to stay indoors. We'll watch as this system pushes into southern Quebec and into the Maritimes for your Friday afternoon and evening hours. That will be where our focus lies tomorrow, with another round of severe storms that could be possible in through the Maritimes. For today in northern Saskatchewan, that is where we could be seeing some severe storms develop as well, with some large hail being a factor for you. But we are going to be continuing to track these systems through southern Ontario. We are watching as these supercells spot up and make their way very quickly at that almost 50 to 60 kilometers per hour they are heading at. So be aware, these systems will be bringing with them rapidly changing weather conditions, heavy downpours, and a tornado. We have seen a tornado damage go through a suburb in Barrie, so make sure that you have a plan to get into your basement or an interior room this afternoon. Thank you for joining us as we track live. Tornado warnings are underway, with a slew of supercells making their way across southern Ontario. If you find yourself in the Kawartha Lakes region and in through Peterborough, these are the cells that we are currently keeping a close eye on. We can see that black and pink note that's coming up on our radar. These are some extreme supercells that have been rotated. We have seen evidence of a tornado that went through Barrie. However, please be sure, if you're in a pink highlighted region, we have a very favorable environment for tornadoes to touch down. Here are the regions that are highlighted with the tornado warnings. Current areas in through Lindsay and Bobcaygeon. Be aware these systems are tracking into your area and will continue to have tornado threats as long as the escarpment keeps these winds backing on that side of the line I drew for you. That will continue into this evening. So if you are in any of these red highlighted regions, be aware, even if a system passed through, we do see that developing systems are underway and packing with them possibilities to get a tornado coming through your region. Now, this system will make its way in through the southern parts of Quebec and into New Brunswick for your Friday, bringing with it another risk for some isolated storms to ring in the start of your weekend. We'll continue to track the systems that will be impacting northern Saskatchewan as well, with some severe thunderstorms located in that area as we head through this evening. But for the time being, here are the systems that we are tracking now. You can see that line of supercells that are going over the 400, over the Highway 12. So it's definitely going to be a very dangerous condition to be out on the roadways. Do avoid it if you can, because these tornado threats will continue. Make sure you have a plan to stay in the interior room or a basement of your house, because this is what we were seeing coming out of Barrie. Some dangerous conditions, damage reported across houses and a little residential school as these systems blew through. So be aware if you have a tornado warning in your area. Thank you for joining us as we track a very dangerous situation going on across southern Ontario. We do have supercells producing severe tornado warnings, especially for areas through the Kawartha Lakes. These are traveling very alarming quick rate at that, anywhere from 50 to 60 kilometers per hour right towards Peterborough. So please be aware if you are in any of these highlighted regions, especially in through Lindsay and Bobcaygeon. We do have evidence on our radar that a tornado may be headed towards your direction. The environment is very favorable for these systems, as we do have some backing winds and abundance of lift along this cold front that's acting like a trigger for these systems, and that will continue into this afternoon and evening hours. So please avoid being on the highways or get indoors as well, because these are some dangerous situations that are unfolding as we head into this evening. Thank you for joining this dangerous situation that is unfolding across southern Ontario. We have a slew of supercells that are making their way and tracking very quickly towards the northeast. The ones in through Peterborough, those are exhibiting some dangerous rotation. I've highlighted those for you now. If you are in the path of these systems, get inside. There has been significant damage reported associated with these systems, and you are in a tornado warning, meaning that our environment is favorable for these tornadoes to be produced. We do have another slew of supercells that are in through this region I've highlighted here. They will continue to spark up, and one that is just north of Guelph, that is this one here, that is trekking in through north of Georgetown. Well, that one was exhibiting some minor rotation as well. So for the time being, here are our tornado warnings that are in effect for southern Ontario. These systems are heading right over Lindsay and Bobcaygeon and then tracking north of Peterborough at this time. You do not want to be out on the roadways, especially along the 400, Highway 10, 35, and 12, because these systems are tracking right over your direction in through Barrie, and they will continue to produce some gusty winds, and the tornado risk will continue until this evening. We do have that trigger, which is our cold front, high cape, convective energy, and our winds along the escarpment are very favorable to continue to get these systems. So in that red region, be aware we are tracking some tornado warnings that are going on that is headed in through Peterborough at this time. We'll begin to move into southern Quebec overnight and then into northern New Brunswick for your Friday afternoon and evening, bringing with it another chance to get some severe cells. We'll keep a close eye on the cells that will be sparking up along Saskatchewan, but in through Ontario. Here's what we were seeing in Barrie, evidence of high gusty winds and possibly a tornado.
Afternoon, it looks like a tornado touched down in Barrie, Ontario. We're looking at some video here of the tornado and some of the damage done as well. We still have tornado warnings in place, not in Barrie, but the warned area has moved a little farther to the east. Hi, I'm Kim MacDonald. Glad to have you along. If you are under a tornado warning, you're going to want to get into a safe place. I know this is an area where a lot of people have cottages and may have trouble doing that, and hopefully not in tents right now because, yes, popular camping spots as well. well. So we have Fenelon Falls, Apsley, Woodview, northern Peterborough County, southern Kawartha Lakes is in there, Balsam Lake Park, Fenelon Falls, all currently under a tornado warning. If you do have a basement, that's where you're going to have to be. That's where you're going to want to be, and you're going to want to be away from any windows as well. There are a lot of tweets coming in from Barrie. We can see literally sides of homes ripped right off, shingles ripped right off, a lot of damage done, a lot of cleanup to do. We're not sure the strength of this tornado. That will have to be assessed, but it looks like it was potentially a strong one. We're going to go to Rachel right now and talk a little bit about what's happening currently. Rachel.
Thank you, Kim. Well, currently on our radar, we are picking up indications of some rotation that is continuous, especially for the city of Peterborough. These two systems, those are the ones that brought the possible tornado through Barrie. We are indicating that it was a strong one at that, assessing the damage after the fact. These ones still exhibiting rotation. That is inclusive of Peterborough and in through the Algonquin regions, Bobcaygeon, Buckhorn. Please get indoors because this is a dangerous situation to be in. Now, if you are in any of these highlighted regions, we'll make sure that you do not want to be out on the roadways, especially along Highway 12 and the 400. We are going to watch as a line of systems. If you are on the Georgian Bay side of this line, well, we have the ideal conditions to get further tornado threats. So if you do see any severe systems coming your way, just know they may have some embedded rotation. Get off the roads, avoid it if you can, because these systems are popping up right now that are tracking in through the north of the GTA as well. That includes areas in through Newmarket and Brampton. And if you're in any of these red highlighted regions, well, that is where that favorable conditions remain for tornadoes. So be aware, have a plan to get indoors in a safe place away from windows. We will track as the system moves into southern Quebec overnight, losing a bit of steam, but then picking that right back up just in time for Friday evening in the Maritimes. We could be seeing some more embedded thunderstorms with this system, so be aware on your Friday that is headed your way. In through Saskatchewan, we'll note that we could be seeing some severe storms as well this evening, especially in the northern reaches. But our focus is going to lie in southern Ontario with these dangerous tornado warnings underway. The city of Peterborough now is included in the tornado warning. That means that we have favorable conditions for a tornado. We did pick up on our radar heavy rotation on these two systems, and they are tracking at an alarming rate towards the northeast and spinning with that, providing some small hail as well. Gusty winds over 100 kilometers per hour. And even these ones back in through Orangeville, well, they are also exhibiting rotation, and that is trekking towards the Highway 400 just in time for rush hour. So take extra care on the roadways and avoid it if you can, because we are going to continue to track here live the dangerous tornado conditions and threats as we head through this evening for southern Ontario.
From Barrie, Ontario, looks like a tornado has touched down. This was this afternoon at about 2:30. A lot of damage done, widespread damage in the city of Barrie, and unfortunately the tornado warning is still in place, not for Barrie. It looks like those rotating storms are pushing eastward, but the city of Peterborough is in that tornado warning now. If you're in the tornado warning in places like Apsley and the Kawarthas, Lindsay, for example, you're going to want to stay away from windows. Get into a basement if you have one. If you don't, get into an interior room. A bathroom is always a good place to be. Just stay away from windows. I know people are attracted to storms. This is not one you want to mess around with because the damage in Barrie was widespread. We're talking about shingles, not just shingles off roofs, but entire roofs torn away in some cases. There's been a lot of damage. We're not sure how strong the tornado was. The damage has to be assessed. by professionals, and then they will come up with whether it was an EF-1, an EF-2, that kind of thing. But a dangerous situation. This is round one of these storms. We're looking at, again, another chance of severe storms later this evening. So please, if you have an app, make sure you have the Weather Network app. The warnings will come up on there. You will get an alert. If you are under a tornado warning, get inside as quickly as possible and get as low and into a safe place as quickly as possible. Okay, let's talk about what's going on right now. I'm going to take it over now to meteorologist Rachel Modestino about what's happening with these particular cells. Rachel.
Thank you, Kim. Well, we are tracking live these cells that are making their way through the Northeast at a very alarming rate, very quickly at that. These are the two cells that are now warned, tornado warned. That is in through Bobcaygeon and north of Peterborough. We will be watching these systems continue to track to the Northeast, but heavy rotation. If you are in the path of any of these, that is where you have your tornado warning. So please get indoors. These were the ones that were responsible for all of that damage in through Barrie, but have a look in behind. Some more supercells that are occurring, a couple going through Newmarket in the time being, some of which have also noted rotation, this one north of Brampton, and these will continue to pop up as we head throughout the evening, like you said, Kim, because we have a very ideal environment for these systems, which I'll show you in just a second. But first, I really want to drive home, if you are in any of these areas that are highlighted in pink, you have a tornado warning in effect. Some of these systems, those were responsible for the Barrie damages, so it's not a time to be out on the roadways. Here's the environment that we have, the escarpment of Niagara really helping to change our wind speeds from the ground up into the higher levels of our atmosphere, and that is where we are seeing a tornado risk with lots of convective energy. The heat that we were experiencing has really been fueling these cells. Well, that is going to continue this evening. We do have that cold front trickling along that's acting as a trigger for these systems, and that warm, humid air mass, well, that is continuing to make way as we get in through this evening. So be aware along the highways, avoid them if you can, because these systems are continuing to spark up. If you're in any of these highlighted regions, especially the red region, that is where we could be seeing some more tornado risks as we head throughout this evening. So be aware, get inside, and keep up to date with watches and warnings in your area.
Okay, so we're looking at video of a tornado touching down. We can see the storm in the background. We can see the damage done. Thankfully, the tornado warnings have come to an end. Hi, I'm Kim MacDonald. Glad you're here, but not before it looks like a tornado did this kind of damage. It needs to be confirmed by Environment Canada, but we've seen video of a tornado. We've seen video of extensive damage in the city of Barrie, north of Toronto. As I mentioned, there's some good news that the tornado warnings have come to an end, but we're still looking at severe thunderstorm warnings. Here's another video. We're showing a funnel in this one. And yeah, we've had some serious rotation on these storms. This is in Zephyr, Ontario.
Look at that tail grow just over Ravenshoe Road here.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody is a storm chaser and on that particular storm. But yes, these storms were racing toward the Kawartha. So this is all really cottage country where people would be camping or in their cottages and maybe away from a television. But this is why I'm always talking about get the app, get the Weather Network app. The alert will be on your app. You'll know if there's a severe thunderstorm watch, a warning, or a tornado warning, as there was in this case. And I'm only hoping that people in Barrie had enough time to get to a safe spot. The areas in red here are the severe thunderstorm warnings. And remember, tornadoes always come from severe thunderstorms. And then we've got the watch in yellow. If you're in a watch, it means that we have the conditions. They're favorable for severe weather. If we have a warning, it means it is happening or it is imminent. And so we've certainly seen our fair share of severe weather already today. And we're looking at not just this round of storms, but Rachel, I'm going to bring you in now. We're looking at the potential for more storms, another round in the next few hours.
Yeah, you got that right, Kim. As we head into the evening hours, we still have these favorable conditions to get more severe thunderstorms, and with that, a tornado threat. So here's what we have on our latest radar. These were the cells that are just north of Peterborough at this time. They were the ones that went through Barrie, and OPP in Barrie, considering all of the damage, has said it looked like a war zone out there. So a strong tornado associated with these two cells. But have a look all across southern Ontario. We are looking at a lineup of severe cells. We do have ones that are just in through Newmarket and Bradford, those ones associated with some more rotation at that. So no matter where you are, if you are in a severe thunderstorm warning, well, make sure that you have a plan in case any of these turn into another tornado warning. You can see the bubbling effect even up in the atmosphere from our satellite view. And we're watching another line trickle in just south of Windsor. And so this will be occurring throughout this evening. Here is the environment that we have. The escarpment really helping to back our winds from the surface up into our upper atmosphere. And that is why we've seen that tornado risk. Along with it, we do have some instability from all of the hot daytime heating that we've experienced in the past couple of days. That's providing lift for these storms to get severe, and the air mass is from the Gulf of Mexico, so we have some high moisture content. This is not the time to get out on the roadways. These will be impacting your drive home, especially along Highway 10, the 400, Highway 35, and Highway 12. Will be a very messy situation at that, so make sure if you can avoid it, do not get out on the roadways. These systems will continue throughout this evening as we still have that favorable environment, especially in this red highlighted region for you. These systems are currently tracking towards the cottage country areas, but first sweeping through areas of the GTA, so be aware. Let's go back to some viz that we were seeing earlier in Ontario. You can see that heavy rotation in Woodville. These are some dangerous situations, so take note and stay up to date as we get through this evening.
Severe thunderstorms and likely a tornado. Maybe more than one tornado in Ontario, yet to be confirmed, but we're looking at video now of a rotating storm to be sure. We've had massive damage in Barrie, Ontario. Hi, I'm Kim MacDonald. Glad to have you along. There are no tornado warnings at this moment. Severe thunderstorm warnings remain. I'll show you those in just a moment. This is just showing a tree that's been completely uprooted. Of course, we've got lots of stories on the Weather Network, on Twitter, and theweathernetwork.com as well. But homes have literally been destroyed in Barrie. There's still an assessment to be made as to how strong this tornado could have been that touched down, but it looks like it was significant. I think we have some more video here. This looks like a funnel cloud at least. This is the reason why we had tornado warnings all the way through from Barrie into the Kawarthas, including Peterborough. Most recently, they have come to an end, but certainly anybody looking to the skies would have seen something extremely ominous. Severe thunderstorm warnings are in place. The city of Toronto is now under that severe thunderstorm warning, so anything in red, if you are in a warning, you're going to want to get indoors. Whether it's a tornado or not, severe thunderstorms can be very dangerous with damaging winds. Of course, lightning is always a serious threat, localized flooding as well. So in Barrie, cleanup after a massive disaster earlier this afternoon, and another round on the way. Unfortunately, this is not the end of the severe weather. Into the evening hours, we could see another round. Now, joining me is Rachel Modestino. You've been tracking these storms all along. They were fast movers. People barely had time to get indoors, Rachel.
Yeah, they were moving very quickly at that, anywhere from 50 to 65 kilometers per hour in the northeastward direction. They did get through Barrie, and these are the cells that were the culprits just entering north of Peterborough, but continuing to track northward. We have seen the rotation on those systems, and I'm getting increasingly worried about a couple more that are headed towards the northern GTA. I'm going to highlight those for you now. Areas through Bradford and King City. This cell has exhibited rotation, and that is where we're going to keep our eye on for the time being. No, there is no tornado watches or warnings in effect, only some severe thunderstorm warnings. However, these systems, they are packing a punch. They have an abundance of environment that is favorable to get more tornadoes, as you said, Kim, throughout this evening. We have a cold front sweeping through, causing some instability and triggers that hot and humid air. Well, it's also highly moist coming from the Gulf of Mexico. And then our wind directions, the escarpment really helping to change the wind directions from the surface up into the upper atmosphere. So that is where we're seeing that rotation being a factor. And we also have that lift that's available. So these systems are severe and could continue to trek and develop tornado threats throughout this evening. This is our first round of them now. Be aware, if you cannot avoid getting out on the roadways, it will be quite messy, especially through the 400 and in through Highway 12. These systems are tracking in your direction, and like Kim said, bringing with them heavy downpours, strong wind gusts exceeding 100 kilometers per hour. So although you may not have a tornado watch or warning, the winds will be very damaging. The damage coming out of Barrie is very gut-wrenching, to say the least. OPP classifying it as a war zone out there, and we're going to continue to track, especially this area highlighted in red for the time being. As we get into the evening hours, we could see another couple of tornadoes popping up in your area.
We're looking at video here of a rotating storm, a funnel cloud. Still unsure if this one touched down, but we've had a number of tornado warnings. The good news is that the tornado warnings have come to an end. Unless this is new, they're back. Okay, never mind. The tornado warnings had ended. They are back in place now. It looks again in the same areas around the Peterborough region. Surrounding that, severe thunderstorm warnings. It looks like a tornado did touch down in Barrie, Ontario this afternoon at about 2:30, causing widespread damage in the area of Mapleview Drive and Prince William Way. There are homes that have been destroyed as a result of this tornado. And now we do have tornado warnings again. I feel like I just tweeted out that the tornado warnings had come to an end. It's only been maybe 10 minutes or so, and now they are back in again. So the area in pink, I know that in Barrie, the warnings went off, the alerts went off on people's phones and radios, and I'm hoping that it was enough time for people to get into a safe area. If you are in a tornado warning, you're going to want to get into a basement if you have one. An interior room, a bathroom's always good. A bathtub is even better. Away from windows is where you want to be. The areas surrounding this are under a severe thunderstorm warning because we have a number of cells that are racing across Ontario at this hour. In yellow, a severe thunderstorm watch. What does that mean? Conditions are favorable for storms to develop. It's more of a, okay, heads up, be aware of what's going on around you. If you get a warning, it's time to get in. So tornado warnings temporarily dropped, back up again, issued by Environment Canada, and that's what we're looking at here, again around the Peterborough area and the Kawarthas, an area that is very popular amongst people who go to cottages and who camp. So this is a serious situation. I believe we have Jacqueline Whittle coming in now on this. Am I correct? Or do? No. Oh, okay. We don't have her at the moment, but she will be joining me in a little bit. I did have some damage to show you. Perhaps we have some video of what was going on in Barrie. That was, again, 2:30 this afternoon, widespread damage. If you are in a tornado warning, this is why we tell you, get inside, get into a basement. If you don't have a basement, an interior room. In Barrie, we have seen roofs literally torn off. The area needs to be assessed to tell exactly how strong that tornado was. Could be an EF-1, an EF-2 potentially, but that's for the experts to decide after the fact. We've heard that it looks like a war zone in that particular neighborhood. Again, Prince William Way and Mapleview Drive in Barrie. Tornado warnings have come back again after briefly ending. I'm going to go to Rachel Modestino, who's been watching these cells. Part of the problem is that they've been moving so quickly, Rachel.
Yep, these systems have been moving quite fast, anywhere from 50 to 65 kilometers per hour. Here is our tornado warning that just became in effect for the region's Apsley, Woodview, northern Peterborough County, Peterborough City, Lakefield, and southern Peterborough County. This system is making its way just through Lakefield, just north of that, and it is packing with it a tornado warning, meaning that
Hi there, I'm Kim MacDonald, and we have been under tornado warnings all afternoon here in southern Ontario. In Barrie, Ontario, it looks like a tornado has touched down in that city. Here's some video. We've been getting video after video and photos as well.
It's going, Bell. It's going to the ground. It's going to the ground.
Nope. So in Barrie, about 2:30 this afternoon, it looks like a tornado did touch down. The alarms went off, the sirens went off. There's been widespread damage done in that community in South Barrie, Prince William Way, Mapleview Drive. These are the areas that saw the most damage. And then the tornado warnings have been ongoing through the afternoon. I don't see anything. So we've got severe thunderstorm warnings surrounding in red, and then the purple is the actual tornado warning that is happening. So if you're in Peterborough or the Kawarthas, that's the region that we're talking about. Again, you're going to want to get to safety immediately if this is where you are. Again, this is a look at the radar plus a close-up of the actual warning itself. Rotating storms, they've been ongoing all afternoon. If you're in that tornado warning, stay away from windows and glass doors. Go to the basement or the lowest point in the building. That's where I've been telling you to go all day because it's the safest place to be. Cover yourself with a mattress or sleeping bag. That is another piece of advice that people talk about, because what you're going to want to avoid is broken glass, broken windows, flying debris. That's what hurts people in a tornado. And from the damage that we've seen in Barrie, it's easy to see how people could be harmed or hurt badly because of basically homes being torn apart. Now again, take shelter in a basement, the lowest level possible. Tornado warnings are issued when they are seen on radar, for example. Meteorologists can tell that there's rotation happening. So they'll say, okay, here is a tornado warning. If I could get a clock, that would be great. And the other reason or that a tornado warning would be issued is somebody actually spotting it, a reliable source. So if somebody sees it, like a storm chaser, storm spotter, a police officer, those kind of people, if they see a tornado on the ground, they will let people know, they will let Environment Canada know, and a warning will be issued. Okay, here's another look, a widespread look. You can see all of these cells popping up. One of the problems with this is that they're moving so quickly. So we've got all the ingredients here, that humidity you've been feeling in Ontario, that leads to a lot of instability in the atmosphere. And all you need is a trigger, which is what we have. We've got a front that is moving through. So ahead of it, some wind shear. So winds coming in at different directions in different levels of the atmosphere, and that's what leads to the rotation. So there's the front, and we're not looking at an end to these storms until much later into the evening. So what we're seeing now, round one, and then another round of storms is potentially going to happen again. So anywhere across southern Ontario, but especially in cottage country moving into eastern Ontario, that's where we're expecting the worst of the weather. Again, if you're under a tornado warning, please take shelter immediately. We're looking at video of a possible tornado touching down. We had actually confirmation of not one but two in the Barrie area, one near Uxbridge, one in the city of Barrie itself. We still have tornado warnings that we're talking about just outside of Peterborough. Now moving eastward. Peterborough and the Kawartha is out of the tornado warning, but places like Bannockville are now in. Caladar in the tornado warning, so everything's pushing a little farther to the east, but we're looking at video of likely touchdowns here. So this could have been a multi-orbit
of Neptune right now, but it comes
again in Barrie. Damage has been unbelievable in Prince William Way area, Mapleview Drive area. Look at this. We can see that homes have been severely damaged. We're talking about siding coming right off of it, roofs being destroyed as well, second stories destroyed, all because of what's being considered a very strong tornado. We still have those tornado warnings in place east of Peterborough. Peterborough is under a severe thunderstorm warning. And keep in mind that if you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, it's still dangerous. We're still talking about lightning, winds gusting over 100 kilometers per hour, heavy rainfall that could cause flash flooding. So you don't want to be driving in this kind of weather. And certainly if you're in a tornado warned area, you're going to want to get into a basement. So that's where you want to be. If you don't have a basement, just stay away from any kind of windows. Get into an interior room. That's where you need to be. It's not over yet. Again, we still have tornado warnings in place. They've moved a little farther to the east at this point in time. I believe we're going to go to Jacqueline Whittle, meteorologist Jacqueline Whittle, who's been following these storms as well. I mean, they've been fast movers, Jacqueline. It's been hard to keep up.
That's right, Kim. What an awful outcome for the city of Barrie. Of course, we'll be continuing to bring you that coverage. Of course, Mark Robinson will be on the scene along with one of our other reporters. Marta will be there as well. As you mentioned, the tornado warnings have shifted a little bit further east. You're looking at them right here. So Lindsay included in that, Lakefield, Peterborough, Norwood, Havelock, those areas. And as sort of a big picture, Kim, we take a look at this line of storms, which will be probably coming in a few different lines. We saw that early batch of storms in and around the Barrie area, but that was just one batch of storms. We still could see a few more rounds. And so right now on radar, this is what we're looking at. You can see a line from Fergus over to Orangeville, just east of Shelburne there, west of Tottenham. We've got another storm just southwest of Lake Simcoe near Keswick. These at this point, not severe warned. The area that we're still watching quite closely, though, of course, is near the Bobcaygeon area, Peterborough, this batch of storms that has quite a bit of lightning and, of course, the rotation. If we look at sort of how the evening might shape up as we go on, it's all going to be relatively fast moving, as you mentioned, and moving eastward with that cold front in through the Ottawa Valley, but weakening as they do. So that's an overall look at the big picture, Kim. And of course, this is the risk map. I think our forecasters did a really great job at isolating where that rotation would be right through cottage country and Barrie. I lived there, Kim, for 7 years. I lived right off Mapleview Drive, so it's just hitting home for me just thinking about that damage.
Yeah, and we know that Barrie is no stranger to tornadoes. I mean, the 1985 tornado has gone down in history, so just awful. And for the people who live in these homes, I mean, there was a little bit of warning, but not a lot, but all the ingredients were there. And of course, this is worst case scenario. That's what we have here, Jacqueline, with all the ingredients for not only severe storms, but actual tornadoes. Okay, we'll be right back. Lots of evidence of tornadoes in Ontario on this Thursday. Looks like this one has been confirmed in Uxbridge. I mean, there's enough evidence now to suggest that tornadoes did touch down. Normally, we would say, okay, a suspected tornado, but in Barrie, certainly there has been one video after another, and the damage in its wake has been, frankly, terrible. Zephyr, we're seeing another video here of a, yeah, it looks like a touchdown as well. Usually you have to kind of see the bottom of it, but it's close enough. And this is the kind of afternoon we've had. This is the kind of afternoon we've expected as well. Woodville, Ontario, again, that storm. I mean, it went almost completely black in Barrie at 2:30 in the afternoon. And here we're looking at some of that damage done. I mean, the video's moving pretty quickly, but you can see that's severe. And early on, they're saying, okay, this, from all the evidence we've seen, including the evidence of the actual storm itself and then the aftermath, the damage that was done in Barrie, it looks like a strong tornado. Officials will come to a conclusion whether it was an EF-1, EF-2, et cetera, later on after really examining the damage. It's a little too early to say, but it's not too early to say that it looks like it was a tornado. Now, we still have a tornado warning for Kaladar, Bannockburn, and Bon Echo Park. So those areas are now in the tornado warning. Peterborough and the Kawarthas around Apsley, Woodview, northern Peterborough County, those areas are still under severe thunderstorm warning, but that's where we most recently had that. In yellow, that's our watch area. And again, that just basically says, okay, you know what? We suspect that there's going to be storms at some point in the day. The ingredients are there. And so if you're still in the watch, it's more of a heads up. Let me just put my trusty phone down here. There's a closer look at where that tornado warning is. If you're in the tornado warning and you're saying, okay, what do I do? You get into a basement. You get into the lowest floor, whatever that is. Maybe you don't have a basement. And I know areas, homes around here, a lot of them are cottages. People go camping in this region as well. So yeah, especially Bon Echo Park, you need to get somewhere safe. If you're in a building, a structure, get away from windows, get into a closet, get into a bathroom. Same thing with camping. You know, you're going to want to get into a solid building at a campground if you can. And this is why I'm always saying, you know, make sure you have your phone handy and you've got the Weather Network app. Even if you don't have our app, you'll likely get the alert. And that's what happened in Barrie this afternoon about 2:30. The alert sounded. The tornado warning sounded on people's phones, on the radio, on television. So I'm hoping, and sometimes with tornadoes, they come up awfully quick out of these storms, so there's not a lot of headway. So you're going to, you know, as long as you're under severe thunderstorm warning, you're going to want to get indoors, and obviously with a tornado warning, even more so. A tornado warning is issued when it's either spotted on radar or when a reliable source actually sees one. So you know that it's likely happening when a tornado warning is issued. And there's another look at the area that is tornado warned, including Kaladar, including Bon Echo Park. And this is the area that we're concerned about right now because of the fact that there could be some rotation. Storms moving through Ajax just recently, another one through Orangeville. These could be straight line winds. But again, that kind of storm can do a lot of damage too. It doesn't have to be rotating. In some of these severe thunderstorms, we're seeing winds, well.
This program is brought to you by Paul Davis Restoration. When it comes to property damage, water, fire, storms, it's no time for second.
Thanks for joining us this Thursday. StormCentre coverage continues here on the Weather Network. We are expecting an active afternoon and evening across the lower Great.
A multi-tornado type of day. Now, these tornadoes have to be confirmed still, but it looks like the one that touched down in Barrie, pretty self-evident. I mean, we've had the storms on video. We've also had the damage in the aftermath on video as well, and so many videos coming in. And I have to say, unless you're a storm chaser, please get inside if you see something like that in the sky. Barrie, what a scary afternoon it was then. Sean showing us what was going on. You can actually see the storm rotating in the sky. Yes, that would be a tornado. That's the time to get inside. A lot of damage done in the Mapleview Drive and Prince William Way area in South Barrie. I know Barrie is not a stranger to tornadoes. I'm sure this brings up PTSD for people after the 1985 Barrie tornado. I mean, it was years ago, but still fresh after what it did. Now, currently, no tornado warnings in place, thankfully, but there are still some strong storms happening. So we still have a severe thunderstorm watch in yellow. In red, that's our warned area. So Peterborough is still in there. Tornado warning ended, so I'll move past this one. And again, tornado safety, we tell people to get into the basement, and there's reasons for that, right? Get away from windows. That's the last place that we want. I have all my tornado maps still up here, and that's because the warning just ended. But these storms are still fairly strong. They've got lots of lightning on them. Just north of Peterborough, starting to weaken out a little bit, which is good news. Through Orangeville, a line moving there. That looks like it's starting to weaken at the end as well. But there was a soupy, humid air mass. I don't need to tell you that. If you're outside for any length of time in the last couple of days, you probably experienced that. And it doesn't take much to trigger a storm in that kind of an atmosphere. It's very unstable. But now that these storms have come through, they've basically robbed the energy that was already there. So, which is good news, because it means that the chances of a second round of strong storms goes down. We don't have that risk as much as we did. This was the risk map that we have had in place since yesterday, basically showing in red where we expected the strongest storms. And sadly, they came to fruition in the Barrie area with the damage that we've seen there. Yeah, we thought 1 or 2 tornadoes. Now, other areas too, we've been getting some rogue storms, severe thunderstorms that have brought on some strong winds, some heavy downpours, and obviously lightning. Lightning, always a danger. Even if you're not under a severe thunderstorm warning, even your garden variety thunderstorm could generate lightning that can become deadly. And I want to say there's at least one person on the ground in Barrie surveying the damage there after the storm. That person is from the Northern Tornadoes Project. Their job is to survey damage and to conclude whether or not there was an actual tornado. It's coming in that likely that was the case. Now, normally we don't confirm a tornado. Environment Canada confirms a tornado. The Northern Tornadoes Project can confirm a tornado, but there's so much video evidence, and not just that, but the damage done. And sometimes you get damage and it's straight line winds. But in this case, it's already looking like it is damage from a tornado, which would be more scattered because of the rotation versus straight line winds where everything would be in a line. This tornado in Barrie could have been on the ground for about 3 kilometers, and it wasn't the only place that saw a tornado. It looks like near Uxbridge as well, and there could be a few more areas based on the evidence we've seen with all, so many people having phones, having cameras at the ready and capturing the storms. It looks like the Northern Tornadoes Project is going to be very busy in the next few days confirming whether or not there were multiple tornadoes touching down on this Thursday afternoon. Stay tuned. What a day it has been on this Thursday afternoon. A tornado, we can see it on video here in Barrie, Ontario, touching down about 2:30 in the afternoon, causing severe damage. It is not rated as of yet, but so far, experts saying that it is a strong tornado in the Mapleview Drive, Prince William Way area. On the ground for about 3 kilometers, judging from the damage left behind. This was worst case scenario. This is kind of what we expected. I mean, it was one of those days where we thought, okay, there's potential for some severe weather widespread across Ontario. All the ingredients were there, hot soupy air mass, a lot of instability, and then we had a front moving through. And that's not what you need, right? And so this is the result. So many tweets coming in about this particular storm that touched down in Barrie. You can see the damage done to homes, to cars. I haven't heard yet of injuries, and I'm hoping that I don't. I'm hoping that people got the alert in time. I know it went off on people's phones, the radio, television, and I'm hoping that people got to safety as quickly as possible. And then I'm told that it was nothing but sirens as EMS crews started racing towards the area where we saw that damage. And it wasn't the only spot that saw a tornado. It looks like multiple tornadoes may have touched down. Those are not confirmed at this point in time. Rachel Modestino has been watching these storms all afternoon with me as well, keeping an eye on them. It looks like now, Rachel, that the second line of storms likely won't come to fruition because these storms were so strong the first time around.
Yeah, you got that right, Kim. The first round of storms that went through definitely inhibited the environment for the ones following in behind. So good news is that the tornado threat has diminished just slightly, but we are going to continue to watch them as we make our way through this evening. Now, this is what we saw on our past radar. You can see another line that is coming in through the south of Barrie, and this was the culprit. These storms here that are now east of Bob Cajun, those are tracking northeast in through towards the Ottawa Valley. So we're keeping a close eye on that. They have been dissipating, and rotation at that has been dissipating as well. We're keeping a close eye on this system here through Quebec as well, just south of Val d'Or. We have seen rotation on this system. It has not been warned, so just make sure that you are aware if you are in this region. We could be seeing some severe weather heading your way. Now, looking into this evening, well, that environment that we had, well, that is diminishing, like you said. That front is passing through, but our winds not quite veering as much as before, and our cape, that lift that we need, well, that is diminishing as well, especially along the front. So good news is that our tornado threat has subsided, but we will continue to watch these supercells as we make our way throughout this evening. They will continue to pop up along the Golden Horseshoe, and gusty winds. Everyone will be feeling these wind gusts as that front pushes through, anywhere from 60 kilometers per hour heading into this evening. That front will be pushing through Quebec, losing steam but ramping right back up for the Friday afternoon hours, heading into the Maritimes as well. So we'll keep a close eye on the Maritimes for your Friday, and then in through the prairies, we're watching as some severe storms are underway and continuing Friday.
This program is brought to you by Paul Davis Restoration. When it comes to property damage, water, fire, storms, it's no time for second.
We've been in StormCentre all afternoon. The reason, this.
Going to the ground. It's going to the ground.
Yeah, it looks like a tornado on the ground in Uxbridge. There are at least 2 tornadoes that have been confirmed, one in the Uxbridge area, the other one in Barrie, Ontario. A lot of people hearing about this one because of the damage that was left behind. Absolutely devastating in one particular neighborhood in South Barrie. Here's another shot of what looks like a tornado on the ground in Zephyr. It's hard to tell when you don't see the bottom of it, but you can see what looks like debris flying upwards. Normally we wait until the damage has been surveyed by experts from the Northern Tornadoes Project, from EC, so Environment and Climate Change Canada, to determine if a tornado did touch down. But there's enough video evidence, photo evidence, there's enough video of the damage done that they're saying, yes, indeed, this was a tornado in Barrie. There are some experts on the ground right now looking at that damage and saying, yes, that the debris is falling in a more of a rotation. That's the difference between damage that you might get from a tornado versus straight line winds when everything is literally in a straight line. So a lot of rebuilding to do, a lot of cleanup to do in Barrie. But that's not the only place where we had tornado warnings. They extended eastward into the Kawarthas as well, into cottage country. Now, right now, the warnings have all come to an end, which is good news. It looks like, Rachel, the worst, at least for this part of the country, is over. There are a few more spots, though, that are seeing some active weather, but it looks like people can maybe take a bit of a breather right now in Ontario.
Yes, definitely a sigh of relief, because we did have a couple rounds, those first couple rounds that came through that sparked all the tornado warnings. Well, they dampened the environment for the next row in behind. We currently have some large systems that are tracking through Newmarket. You can see some lightning associated with those, but the rotation and the tornado threat is diminishing because of the dampened environment behind these systems. This was the culprit that is tracking towards the Ottawa Valley. We'll keep a close watch to see if any rotation sparks back up again, but the only area to note of rotation will be just south of Val d'Or. We have seen indications of numerous supercells in this line that have exhibited some rotation with that. So be aware if you are in through this area of Quebec, and these are tracking northeastward at a very alarming rate at that. be aware that some severe systems may be in store for you. Now we'll watch as these systems make their way over to the Ottawa Valley as we head throughout this evening. With that, hopefully the tornado threat will be diminishing. You can see the overnight hours, they will be losing a bit of steam, but we will still have some gusty winds along that cold front that's draping through the provinces, anywhere from 60 kilometers per hour, still quite damaging at times. And our temperatures in through our Friday will be a little bit of a relief after that cold front passed through. But for the south of Quebec, still feeling that hot, sticky air, and these systems will take advantage of that as we get into your Friday afternoon and evening hours. These will taper into the eastern townships of Quebec, getting possibly severe in nature and also trickling into the Maritimes. You can see along this cold front, that was the culprit that brought in the tornadoes for Ontario. They'll be making their way over to New Brunswick. At this time, only some minor indications of some severe cells, but be aware we will be updating this quite frequently tonight. Now, as we get on to the west, we are watching on their Friday. We could be seeing a swath of severe systems in the south of the prairies. That is all due to this cold front that will drape through and get into the lower edges of the province. Lots of convective energy associated with that. So we'll keep an eye on that for you on your Friday. But for right now, in through Ontario, we have been noticing that our tornado threats have diminished. But if you are in this region of Quebec, be aware and have a plan to stay inside.
All the ingredients are there for severe storms, and they came to life in southern Ontario on this Thursday. Look at the sky here. You know, it wasn't just one tornado, although in Barrie it has been confirmed and likely a very strong tornado touching down in that city. But multiple tornadoes likely, video after video from all different places in Ontario, showing what we're looking at here in Zephyr. These funnel clouds touching down. Looks like a tornado to me. And in Barrie, the damage is just devastating. Widespread. Homes literally moved off their foundations. We can see buildings completely destroyed. And there has been talk or reports of injuries as well, some of them severe. And I don't want to throw out numbers because we know with situations like this that the numbers change quite often. But it looks like a very strong tornado touched down in Barrie, and other tornadoes touched down in other places across Ontario. So those yet to be confirmed, and they're usually confirmed by surveying damage. That's how it's done. But we have so much video evidence because a lot of this happened in very densely populated areas. Still a few thunderstorms lingering behind the worst of it. But what a day for active weather in Ontario. And Rachel kind of knew this was going to happen. But when you have this kind of setup, it's where it's going to happen more so than if it's going to happen.
Yeah, but it's really hard to nail down the exact location as well. But the escarpment was definitely throwing us for a loop. That was causing winds to be backing and shifting what we thought was from the forecast, and very minute scale. That's what it came down to. Well, everyone across southern Ontario got a piece of this, and heavy downpours were associated with these systems. That will continue throughout our evening. You can see in through Ottawa, we could be seeing up to 50 millimeters of rain as we head into through Friday. But for southern Ontario, we are watching as that tornado threat diminishes. We will watch as these systems trek into the Ottawa Valley, heading into your overnight hours, and any systems along that will have a lot less convective energy to work with, but they will be tapping into some heat in southern Quebec. We do see a relief coming Friday for southern Ontario in terms of that hot and soupy air mass. That helped to instigate these supercells into their development, all of that hot and sticky air. Well, that will still be the case for the southern parts of Quebec, getting into the 30 range feels like. And this system will be trekking in through this overnight hours, dying out just a little bit when we have a less CAPE values, less lift. lift, but then by Friday morning and afternoon, those will spark back up, possibly trickling into the Maritimes, especially New Brunswick. There's that front that caused all of the tornadic damage in Ontario, and that will be the story for New Brunswick. Hopefully a lot less severe, and that is what our forecast is indicating. However, we could see this ramp back up just a touch. So make sure if you're in Atlantic Canada or the Maritimes, you're keeping up to date with these. We will continue to update you. On the other side, in through the west, we're watching for Friday some severe storms possible through Saskatoon, Regina, and then into Manitoba. That could be associated with heavy rainfall and large hail associated with that. Here's what that culprit is. Yet another cold front that is causing that instability, the lift, the trigger that these systems need, and a high amount of Cape values, especially in through Saskatoon. So be prepared on Friday. It may be another active day, but for Southern Ontario getting into this evening, we are looking at the tornado threats heavily diminished at this time.
Well, that looks unmistakably like a tornado. Dave Strickland in Uxbridge showing us one of many videos that we saw through Thursday of tornadoes likely touching down in Barrie.
Oh my goodness, that's about to touch down. Look
It's already a given there. In Zephyr, another tornado. Now, some people are seeing the same tornado from different aspects, but still, this was a multiple tornado event likely. We're going to have to get confirmation on that, but in Barrie, certainly a tornado touching down there, a very strong one, in fact, and then a couple of others possible. Eudora, Manila, and this is based on video. People just being eyewitnesses and capturing these storms. Barrie, so many people affected. We spoke with some of them, including this woman.
I took cover. I was already in the basement, which was really lucky, like very fortunate. I didn't get hurt at all. Felt the pressure of the room change, like everything just dropped. My ears popped, and then heard a lot of glass shattering upstairs. I honestly thought someone was breaking in. And then I saw fences flying past my window, so I assumed there was the tornado.
Emergency crews rushed to the area right after the tornado touched down, including police, and we spoke with the communications officer from the Barrie Police.
We had a very significant weather event that took place. There's homes that have collapsed. There's fences that are down. There's backyard amenities that are strewn from one property to the next and beyond. My understanding is there was 9 people that were injured, 8 of which were transported to local hospital. 4 of those 8 sustained serious injuries. The response has been phenomenal, and at the end of the day, we will rebuild.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've been seeing on social media. Rachel, people already trying to reach out and say, how can I help? Local Barrie residents, they're talking on Facebook, for example. They have donations. They want to help to clean up the mess. And I think that will be the positive of all of this. People just coming together for their community.
Yep, it was really nice to see the Barrie Police knocking door to door, making sure all of the residences were okay as that tornado swept through. Well, as we look ahead onto Friday, that cold front will be impacting, but not Southern Ontario. We will focus on Southern Quebec, in through the eastern townships, and in through New Brunswick. Here are our temperatures that we are forecasting for Friday. A cool down underway for Southern Ontario, but still sticky conditions, especially in through Moncton, feeling like 37. So for Southern Ontario, still dealing with the lingering showers along this cold front throughout your Friday morning, and this warm front will be pushing in another round of showers. Nothing as severe as what we saw, so just precipitation on your doorstep. We will turn in through the eastern townships of Quebec and northern New Brunswick. That includes Miramichi and in through Fredericton for your Friday evening, and that is that same cold front that brought in the tornadoes through Barrie and Southern Ontario. So we will keep a close watch in the east, especially for New Brunswick. Heavy rainfall and small hail possible, but strong winds as well. These systems are in a linear fashion, and we're quite gusty to say the least throughout Southern Ontario, and I expect that to continue into your Friday. Looking at the west, we do have the heat underway, especially for the southern prairies, getting into the 30s, mid-30s for Regina and Winnipeg, and we will have possible thunderstorms in through the south of the prairies, especially Saskatoon, Regina, and then in Manitoba as well. Large hail could be a factor. That is all because of the cape we have with the heat, the lift, a very similar story to what we saw in southern Ontario, but different location. As we head throughout your Friday evening, we could be seeing those sparking in along the warm front and cold frontal boundaries. So just to recap, we are going to continue to watch the east as that cold front pushes through. And if you're in the Atlantic Canada, specifically New Brunswick, we will be focusing on that area for your Friday. I hope everybody is safe tonight and in through your morning.
Roll right up, right track.
StormCentre informs you about upcoming severe weather.
It is so windy right now.
Whether you're on our app, website, or watching on TV, stay safe and prepared with StormCentre.
This program is brought to you by Air Canada and Visit Florida. Endless sunshine, infinite possibilities.
Storm recap continues here on the Weather Network. Thanks for joining us this Friday. We had a line of severe and destructive thunderstorms that swept through portions of the GTA, north of the GTA, that is, into Cottage Country, the Barrie area. We're going to dive deep into the details and what this caused across the area. Two very strong, destructive thunderstorms to speak of. And Mark Robinson was on these yesterday. Mark, quite impressive. You were on this cell that formed over Shelburne and tracked right through the Barrie area just yesterday.
Yeah, these storms were moving very quickly. They're moving at 50, 60 kilometers an hour. And you can see so two supercells sort of set up and start tracking to the east, literally from the Shelburne Mount Forest area all the way through to Barrie, and then continuing further all the way into Cottage Country. And I'm standing sort of in the heart of some of the worst damage that you can see. And if you look behind me, you can see the roof here has been completely removed, and you can see the debris all around here. Very typical tornado damage when you take a look at this. So I have seen that Environment Canada has so far given it a rating of an EF-2, which is about 210 kilometers an hour. This is just an example of the destruction, because this damage path continues quite far in both directions here in Barrie.
Absolutely destructive storms. And again, there was more than just one storm, Mark. There were multiple, and we had a couple of rounds. One that pushed through around the 2 o'clock area, and again right through the evening entering the Kawarthas. What can you tell us about, say, someone witnessing tornadoes? If you don't actually see the funnel, but you see the aftermath damage, how does one determine whether or not that was a tornado?
Well, that's actually a really good question. I was with the Northern Tornadoes Project yesterday when they were going through, taking a look at some of the damage. And when you see things like roofs removed like this, and you see, if you can sort of see the back side of the house there, you see all the insulation spattered along that side of the house. That means you were getting winds sort of swirling around. And usually when you see roofs removed, you're talking about tornadic type of winds. And there's a whole bunch of other indicators that they use to sort of determine whether this was tornadic winds. And from not only from what the damage they've seen, we do have some video of it. But I'm going to be talking with them again later, and we're going to get a chance to sort of see exactly what they're looking for when it comes to determining how strong the tornado was and where the tornadoes went.
Okay, that's great information. Thanks for joining us. And again, we're going to be determining how this damage has unfolded, not only in the Barrie area, but into portions of Cottage Country later on this morning. That's another look at the archived radar there. And that cell that's moving just north of Barrie, that's the one that Mark has been on and that produced extensive damage. There's a look at that cold front that sparked a lot of this instability. It is headed towards the Atlantic provinces later today. That's where that thunderstorm threat lies for our Friday, and then into our weekend. Temperatures on the rise.
Our top story here at the Weather Network continues to be the tornado that went through Barrie yesterday, Thursday, July the 15th. This happened in southeast Barrie in the community of Mapleview Drive and Prince William Way. What we know right now is roughly about 20 homes have been damaged. Unfortunately, about 3 to 4 of them having to be totally rebuilt. Now, yesterday, fire crews and emergency crews went door to door, making sure people were safe, making sure no one was trapped in the rubble. Unfortunately, about 8 people did have to be sent to hospital, but the mayor of Barrie did confirm that there were no casualties reported yesterday. Environment Canada has confirmed this to be a tornado event, and of course, we'll continue to learn more as we go throughout the day today. Now, people have been marking themselves safe on Facebook. They've also been offering help to watch children, share a generator, offer groceries or rides to relief areas. And if you are in this region and you do need some assistance, Barrie Police Service is asking people to call 705-728-8442.
Tornado causes significant damage in Ontario.
This program is brought to you by FungiCure. Helps eliminate unsightly fungus infection on fingers and toes.
At least 9 people have been killed in extreme flooding in western Germany. Around 70 more remain unaccounted for. Police said several houses collapsed in the state of Rhineland-Palatinate, and around 50 people were in need of rescuing from rooftops. The heavy rain began at around noon on Thursday. A fast-moving funnel cloud was seen twirling near Stanhope, Iowa, as most of the state was placed under a tornado watch on Thursday. Local media reported that multiple tornadoes had touched down and there was damage in Lake City. And damage from tornadoes in parts of cottage country in Ontario. Barrie saw significant damage as a storm rolled through the area around 2 o'clock local time on Thursday.
This program is brought to you by Air Canada and Visit Florida. Endless sunshine, infinite possibilities.
Thanks for joining us this Friday. We are recapping the severe weather that pushed through portions of southern Ontario late yesterday afternoon. Conditions were certainly favorable for the development of not only severe thunderstorms, but also tornadoes. We had 2 very strong, destructive storms striking the Barrie area, entering portions of cottage country. And already information is unfolding. Environment Canada giving a preliminary rating of an EF-2 to one of these tornadoes that struck Barrie. Mark, you were out in the field chasing these strong thunderstorms, and again, we were forecasting for conditions to be quite favorable within that Barrie area into the Kawartha Lakes. Lots of shear, lots of instability fueling these storms. What can you tell us about the driving conditions? Because you started yesterday in Shelburne.
Yeah, you know, this one was almost a bit of a shocker, to be quite honest, because it started off, and when I was in Shelburne, it started off with, you know, it was just sort of a cloudy day. It didn't look like a typical tornado type day, and all of a sudden the rain hit just like that, and I couldn't really see that much, like just driving. As I got into Shelburne, got hit with a bunch of hail, and as I got towards Alliston, you could see a gigantic, you know, rotating wall cloud directly over the town, over the city. And this is what sort of got me very upset, or very worried that these storms were actually producing tornadoes. I could see on the radar that the storm cell that was going over top of Barrie that had such a strong indication of a tornado likely happening with that one. And if you look here in Barrie, there really was a tornado happening right here in this neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. And Mark, we talk about tornado safety whenever severe thunderstorms roll through the region. Tornado watches, warnings. You want to take shelter. You want to head indoors. We always advise the residents in their homes to head to the basement, away from windows, exterior walls. Why is that the reason?
Well, if you just look behind me, this is a fantastic example. You can see that the entire roof has been removed from this house, and I can see directly into the master bedroom. The windows are smashed, even though they're fairly small windows. And I want to show you this. This is a chunk of debris, and you can actually see at the end right here. You can actually see where it was embedded into the ground. If this was moving at, 100, 150, 200 kilometers an hour, and it hit you, that's the big thing. So this is why we always say it's not how fast the wind is blowing, it's what the wind is blowing. And when it's blowing around chunks of debris like that, you want to make sure you're in any kind of shelter. And of course, the basement being the best spot. And I did talk to some residents who, took the warning seriously, got everybody into the basement really quickly. And so far, I've only talked to one person that had some minor scratches, but I do know there was at least 9 significant injuries.
Okay, thank you so much for covering these storms for us. We will hear back from you shortly throughout the program. In terms of what's left of this storm energy, it is headed towards the Atlantic. Lesser extent in terms of severe weather. There's a shot of that cold front that's headed towards the East Coast. Meanwhile, heat, humidity continues to build behind it.
Roll right, upright track.
This program is brought to you by Air Canada and Visit Florida. Endless sunshine, infinite possibilities.
Thanks for joining us this Friday. It's all about the storm recap of what we saw sweep through portions of southern Ontario late Thursday afternoon. What you're looking at is damage being done to the Barrie area. Homes shifted, roofs lifted off, vehicles essentially lifted. Many residents feeling the direct impacts. I want to take a closer look at the cells, these supercells, very violent thunderstorms that swept through the Barrie Midland area out towards the Kawartha Lakes. These showed clear indications of rotation, and that's exactly why we are looking at least a couple of confirmed tornadoes. We had our bureaus out in the field in the thick of it, and we also got the opportunity to see those who witnessed these possible tornadoes.
I was upstairs with my dog, and then all of a sudden, Mom's like, get to the basement, and all of a sudden, I run down with my dog, see out the front door, my trailer over there went 10 feet in the air, smashed the truck over there, and it flew with a bunch of other stuff, even including my backyard with the hot tub and like the gazebo there. All the kayaks are messed up. It happened in like 30 seconds. It felt like so short of time.
The sky was green and the wind was horrible and the rain, and I actually felt the whole patio door started to wow in and out. And that's when I screamed at him and I said, get to the basement, grab the dog and get to the basement. I knew something bad was coming.
Our barbecue, everything's messed up.
Our fence is blown out, our gazebo, our barbecue, our kayaks, all the furniture's gone.
We had a very significant weather event that took place. There's homes that have collapsed. There's fences that are down. There's backyard amenities that are strewn from one property to the next and beyond. My understanding is there was 9 people that were injured, 8 of which were transported to local hospital. 4 of those 8 sustained serious injuries.
I took cover. I was already in the basement, which was really lucky, very fortunate. I didn't get hurt at all. Felt the pressure of the room change, everything just dropped. My ears popped, and then heard a lot of glass shattering upstairs. I honestly thought someone was breaking in. And then I saw fences flying past my window, so I assumed there was the tornado.
The response has been phenomenal. And at the end of the day, we will rebuild.
Okay, and the cleanup continues, and we also are dealing with an ease in terms of severe weather, which is great. We have less in terms of thunderstorm energy to work with. In terms of active weather to come, we do have rain showers pushing in through southwestern sections of Ontario throughout this afternoon, and then as we head into the evening and overnight hours, those rain showers push into the GTA, become heavy at times into Saturday morning. Just how much rain are we looking at? Less as you push north of the GTA, City of Toronto, about 5 millimeters. Higher amounts right through the Hamilton, Niagara region. Notice that very sharp gradient that sets up just south of the 401, and we are seeing that rainfall ease eventually later into the weekend, but those winds will be breezy at times as that system grazes the southern Great Lakes. So those winds will be coming in out of the northeast. That's why we see a slight drop in our temperatures. 24 degrees is our daytime high to start off our weekend. Showers ease as we head into Sunday. The sun comes back out and the humidity continues to build. story about the storm recap today on the Weather Network. We had severe thunderstorms that impacted several areas across southern Ontario, north of the GTA, specifically through the Barrie area, entering the Kawarthas. If you were out in cottage country, you were likely dealing with the damage, the destruction. Two very strong thunderstorms essentially hit the Barrie area, and we've already seen confirmed tornadoes, whether that was on social media. Damage surveying is continuing to be done today, so information continues to unfold. I'm going to bring in Rachel Schutzen for additional information on this. Rachel, thanks for joining us today. What do we know so far of what the damage has been across the Barrie area?
Well, you know, Jesse, some of the videos and some of the pictures that have been rolling into our newsroom and across social media are very dramatic. So right now, I want to talk specifically about Barrie and the neighborhood of Prince William Way and Mapleview Drive. So this area experienced a very violent tornado. 8 people were taken to hospital, and it has been confirmed that about roughly 20 homes have been damaged, 3 to 4 of them actually being needed to be totally rebuilt. So we know the strength of this storm was very intense. Now, the mayor, Jeff Lehman, said that there was no fatalities reported yesterday. So, of course, some very good news. Fire crews worked to make sure that no one was trapped in any rubble on Thursday. So going door to door, even in surrounding communities, just to make sure everyone was safe.
Okay, that's great news to hear. Hopefully everyone stayed safe. Again, within this thunderstorm threat, when severe weather strikes, we always advise head indoors. You don't want to be on your smartphone capturing images. But Rachel, in this case, has social media helped any of those directly impacted?
And you know what, Jesse, we've been seeing this multiple times with natural disasters. Social media, it can help, especially now in Barrie, Ontario. People have been marking themselves safe. Of course, many family members calling landlines and not being able to get through. Power is out, internet is down. So whatever battery you have left on your smartphone, people have been marking themselves safe on social media. They've also been lending a helping hand, saying, I can pick up groceries for someone, I can drive you to a relief center, I can share a generator with you, or help take care of your kids. So that sort of helping hand has been huge. And you know, Jesse, a little eerie, because a lot of people have also said, this is the second time I've experienced this, because of course, in 1985, Barrie, Ontario was hit with an F-4 tornado, seeing similar damage to this, very, very intense, with some winds over 300 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, and that would equate to an EF-4 tornado, if not stronger. Homes essentially lifted and destroyed. We will continue to monitor the damage, but Rachel, if anyone is in need of additional assistance, what can you say to help that?
Yeah, so the Barrie Police Service is asking people to call this phone number if you need any additional assistance. That's 705-728-8442. And of course, they are encouraging people, if you are not a part of this affected area, do not go and visit the neighborhood. Right now, it is all about relief and recovery.
Okay, thank you so much, Rach. And we will have more with Mark Robinson and Marta throughout this morning.